My name is Shauna McCabe, and I am the director of the Art Gallery of Guelph. And I am very pleased to welcome you all, as well as our guests, artist Anna Torma, who today is in Baie Verte, New Brunswick, curator and artist Bryce Kanbara, who's in Hamilton, Sarah Quinton, curatorial director for the Textile Museum of Canada in Toronto. And the Textile Museum is responsible for the development and basically the circulating, so the touring of this exhibition called Permanent Danger, which is actually up and ready to be seen by the public as soon as we are able to open. To begin with, I'd like to offer an land acknowledgement on behalf of the Art Gallery of Guelph, which is hosting this dialogue tonight. Guelph, Ontario is situated on treaty land that is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. And as we gather this evening, we would like to acknowledge that the Art Gallery of Guelph resides on the ancestral lands of the Attawandaron people, and more recently, the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We recognize the significance of the Dish with One Spoon covenant to this land and offer our respect to our Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Métis neighbors as we strive to strengthen our relationships with them. And we express gratitude and recognize our responsibility for the stewardship on the land on which we live, work, and create. We also acknowledge that the systemic and institutional racism and white supremacy that has and continues to disproportionately affect Black and Indigenous communities, as well as wider diverse communities. The discovery in Kamloops of the remains of 215 children of the Kamloops to Te Sequempep First Nations community and the death of the Afsal family members in London underscores that as individuals, organizations, and communities, we must continue to challenge our understanding of our own complicity in injustice and the role we can play in dismantling these systems. We are committed to evolving our understanding of equity, inclusion, and anti-racism, not only during times of struggle, but in all of our daily actions and relationships. As we are gathered virtually today, connected and yet physically dispersed, it's also a good moment to reflect on the importance and significance of place, and in doing so, recognize how all of the different traditional lands we reside in and move through inform our lives. And we acknowledge the elders, past, present, and future of these lands with gratitude and respect. A few details. Everyone's been muted for this conversation, but please feel free to use the chat area for questions, and we will look at those, and those can be for Anna, Sarah, Bryce, all of the participants tonight, and we will turn to the questions after the conversation that will take place. We're all collectively grateful for the support that we have as institutions, and for tonight's event as well. We're grateful for the support of the Ontario Arts Council, the Canada Council for the Arts, and the Toronto Arts Council, as well for this exhibition supporting partner, the Sheila Hugh McKay Foundation, as well as Carol Tannenbaum, and as well, in particular for this event, the Canada Council's Art Across Canada program for their support of this event, as well as the upcoming catalog. Now I'd like to turn it over to Sarah Quinton, who is the curatorial director, as I said, of the Textile Museum of Canada, who will introduce our speakers tonight.
Thanks so much, Shauna. It's a lovely introduction. This is a timely and rich partnership between, I'm speaking of the institutional partnership between the Textile Museum of Canada and the Art Gallery of Guelph. Welcome to everybody who's joining us this evening. It's great to have so many people with us today. It's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed guests, Anna Torma and Bryce Kanbara. And I want to thank you both for joining us in an informal conversation around Anna's work in Permanent Danger. Anna Torma was born in Hungary and graduated with a degree in textile art and design from the Hungarian University of Applied Arts in Budapest. That was in 1979. Anna has been an exhibiting artist since that time, producing many large-scale hand-embroidered wall hangings and collages. She immigrated to Canada in 1988 and currently lives in Baie Verte, New Brunswick. The recipient of many grants and awards in Canada and abroad, Torma is a member of the Royal Canadian Academy of Arts, a recipient of the 2020 Governor General's Award in Visual and Media Arts, the New Brunswick Lieutenant Governor's Award for High Achievement in Visual Arts, and the Strath-Butler Award from the Sheila Hugh Mackay Foundation, which is in New Brunswick. Anna is represented by Galerie La Roche-Joncas in Montreal, and at this very moment, she is participating in a group exhibition at Clint Ronish Gallery in Toronto. So I encourage any of you who are in the vicinity to, you probably have to book a slot at the gallery and enjoy some of Anna's new work in that location. Bryce Kanbara is a Hamilton-based visual artist and curator, and Bryce is the recipient of the 2021 Governor General's Award for Outstanding Contribution to the Visual Arts. Congratulations, Bryce. He's a founding member and first administrator of Hamilton Artists, Inc., and has held several positions at the Burlington Arts Centre, the Art Gallery of Hamilton, and the Glenhurst Art Gallery of Brant. He was the executive director of the Toronto chapter of the National Association of Japanese Canadians and the chair of their endowment fund and national executive member. Bryce was the visual arts, crafts, and design officer for the Ontario Arts Council, co-chair of the board of directors of the Workers' Arts and Heritage Centre in Hamilton, the governing council member for the Hamilton Centre of Civic Inclusion, and he is currently the curator and chair of the Arts Committee at Toronto's Japanese Canadian Cultural Centre. Bryce is the proprietor of You Me Gallery in Hamilton, which he views as an intervention connecting art and the general public. And I think that's a lovely segue into speaking about art with you, the general public, and of course with Anna. And on that note, Bryce, I'll pass things over to you.
Okay, I want to thank Shauna and Sarah for inviting me to take part in this today. Anna's suggestion of me to interview her was a curious choice, though, I think. I'm not a textile person. And I live in Hamilton, which is the place that Anna and Isvan left years ago. I had a kind of, when I was preparing for this and looking through all of Anna's images, I had this anxiety dream the other night where I was lost in one of the permanent danger works and being chased by monsters with teeth and bare naked women. Nonetheless, I've been looking forward to today, and I want to say I really have admired how Anna's work and the response to her work, especially, has grown over the past decade or so. Sarah did most of the bio. I had a bunch of that here as well, but I also wanted to mention that Anna and Isvan have two sons who are also artists, Ballant and David, and they've been prominent in just the artworks that have been produced by that family. You lived in Hamilton until 2002, and you moved to New Brunswick. You learned embroidery work from your mom, I think, in Hungary. A lot of the thematic images in your work are inspired in part by Hungarian folklore, mythology, images borrowed from Isvan and your son's work. And of course, your own very personal and passionate view of life and the state of the world. I watched several really good and informative interviews with Anna online. And I assume that you wanted to talk with me so you could provide viewers with a little bit of information about your Hamilton experience and your pre-fame days, I think I should put it. Am I correct in that, Anna?
Thank you for the intro and your memories, Bryce. And if I want to answer why I invited you for this conversation, then probably if I want to answer with one word, this word would be Hamilton.
Yes.
Because Hamilton was the place where we crossed paths a couple of years ago, actually 33 years ago,
Nice.
when we landed in Canada and spent probably 2 days in Toronto. And then, for the advice of our Hungarian friends, we headed to Hamilton, which was a reputation of worker city, which was fine with us. We came from the communist Hungary anyways, so we were familiar with the workers' situations. But the promise was the easy access for the schools, for our 2 kids and for ourselves, for the English courses, because we didn't have the language in that time, and cheap food, and walking around the downtown, library, and what else? Good swimming pool on the Pinky Louise, and a botanical garden, and a fantastic textile shop at the Barton Street. So that was a kind of promised land for us. And we settled in Hamilton and slowly introduced ourselves to the art scene, and we met friends and artists, and we were very active in that time at the 90s, organizing exhibitions and participating at the Artist Ing openings, which were a very festive occasion every weekend, and beer and good conversations and everything. Judy Burgess was the secretary there, and Paul Sekic and Paul Morsky, and happened the very first exhibition there for me and for my husband at the Art Gallery, run by Dennis Lisson and Jim Mullin, poor guy who just passed away, left us here with really, really sad memories, or good memories, but it's a sad event, what I just heard. So Hamilton was just for us when we came to Canada, and it set up our framework, how the Canadian life should be. And I really, really like to remember for that starting point with this fantastic occasion when my work traveled to the Art Gallery of Guelph, which is fantastic. Thank you very much to taking me, Shona, there. It's I appreciate that so much, and I think it's very good point to go back a little bit, at least with my words, not a retrospective show, but just to liven up those first moments in a new country, which was Hamilton for us, and a group of young artists with our age group. We went friendship and prognose the whole life what will happen with us, for 2 professional artists and 2 young children, what will happen. And that was my thoughts when I invited you, Bryce.
Well, those works that Balint and David did when they were children, and you incorporated them into your textiles, I mean, they were really attention grabbing for me. Like no one that was working in that kind of craft.
Thank you for telling this, because I have not many tools in that early years. I had no studio. I have just a kitchen, and I was really busy to raise these 2 kids, and but I didn't want to give up my artist identity, and somehow it came to me too naturally to work together as a group with the kids, because world of the kids and my gravitation to the outsider art and the naivete of those stories, it was really, really close to me. So it was easy. And for the whole aesthetics of the family just bonded in that Hamilton time, because they went to school, the elementary school, and we had no language again. We had just Hungarian together, and they became perfect English speakers, and we couldn't follow them into the English field of literature and to the director's office when it's needed to go, and we just, communication was not very perfect language-wise, but
Well,
the drawing and everything was always in hand.
well, it sounds like an idyllic time. I mean, I don't even know why you even left Hamilton. It sounds like paradise.
You know, you make the ideal from even from the bad times. If you have a personality to make the really bad things better, then you are lucky. Probably we were lucky with that bond. I will tell you why I came to leave Hamilton, because we had some very good exhibition there. I really want to mention. After the Hammer, then it was a show, a group show at the AGH. The title was 1996 and curated by Carol Podedvorny.
Oh.
And who was there? Yes, and she invited me, and Ihor Holubitsky was there, the main curator, and they invited me as a fiber artist, which was a wonder of the world, because the scenario was mostly for the classical visual art, but I was invited, and I produced 3 large assemblage or installation work, and it's made in my kitchen. But that was so promising, you know, that I can participate in nice big museum shows if I have place, and if I can follow my ideas and execute my thoughts. So, but in Hamilton, I had no possibility to get studio or even bigger place. And our friends told us once, if you go to New Brunswick, it's the land and the house is cheap, and you can have as big as you want. And that was a wonder, because we never owned any houses anywhere. And we came one beautiful day, and we stuck.
Well, I'm sure
the working place.
I'm sure that your environment out there is going to come up again, but we better get back to your Guelph show. And I think Shauna's prepared a little walkthrough, so we could go through. So just to give people an overview of what the exhibition is about, you get a.
Yeah, it looks wonderful, even more airy and more filled with energy than at the Textile Museum. The Textile Museum was fantastic too, but the space, it seems to be a little bit bigger, and it looks really nice.
Okay,
really nice.
So you wanna, I kind of wanted to focus on a few of your works, and the first one here is called Torso, and it's 2011, and I thought it was a good one to begin with because there's a variety of techniques here. I think there's hand embroidery on cotton fabric, silk screen print, and found embroidery. So and they reminded me of a bit of samplers, you know, the embroidery work that women and young girls did to kind of demonstrate their techniques and skills in stitching. And except, of course, these are larger, and you're starting to introduce new techniques like applique and that sort of thing. So what did you have in mind in doing these and sort of straying away from straight stitch work?
So this is the opening piece, the welcoming piece on the exhibition title, and I was kind of happy when I see, because it's kind of summarizing lots of my thoughts about what I want to say with my work. The technique is here, of course, but the content of this little, fairly little piece for me is it's a small size collage, loosely sewn together and framed as a portrait. It's important, it's portrait. But the central figurative element is a silkscreen printed human torso, depicted the nervous system of the upper human body. On the corners, I added 4 Hungarian traditional hand-embroidered flower bouquet for embellishment. This gesture embodied the intention of over-embellishment, gives domestic association to the scientific approach. So it's a kind of mixing together 2 worlds, the scientific and the kind of artistic, but it's not in an ideal way. It's a mismatch way, you know, just like as the everyday life is, you know, it has no pure aesthetics and no high art and low art and so the things are in our life is not segregated, fog by fog by fog, but it's mixed together and washed in. And that's the intention here, to create some aesthetics with these feelings behind it. So maybe every ingredients are there and they are not perfect in their own rights, but if you put together as a picture with the relationship in the certain elements, probably gives you some more than the summary of the details. So that was in my mind.
So you're not tied to traditional technique then? I mean,
No, I never wanted to do that. I learned as a child, and I hated to do that because it was not free enough for me. It was a lesson, you know, what you sit down and throw you something what it's necessary to do. But later the creativity came with the knowledge, you know. If you don't think what you are doing because the technique is in your hand, then your mind can be free and do things like that.
Yeah, because from, you know, what you've said in the past, you have this great respect for the tradition of textile work and embroidery and
yes.
And you have this profound knowledge of materials. You talk about the different fabrics that you use and the different threads that you use, and you're, you know, obviously very well versed on all that stuff, but you're willing to transgress those boundaries and explore new ways of
I think in this point I can say I am more or less visual artist, and I'm using these craft techniques as my thoughts require, you know, not otherwise, not the craft techniques goes around in my head and make things with that in my mind, but I have a theme, I have something to say, and then I use this these found objects or ugly embroidery or nice embroidery or whatever. So I am very, very big fan of every textile techniques, of course, even the weaving and the tapestries. You know, the perfect objects is a wonderful thing. You can say that you are a Japanese man. You see some really beautiful handcrafted stuff in your own culture. I hope.
Yeah. Well, let's go. Can we move on? I thought we would go to number 5, Sarah, which is, we can skip through to permanent danger. I think it's 5. Permanent danger. So that's the title piece.
Yeah.
Of the show.
Yeah, that's the title piece. And the first room at the Textile Museum of Canada, and it's hanged really in the central place, and you can imagine, you can walk around it, and
yeah, so that's
you
the
can
front,
feel the
and
piece.
back, right? It's their views of the front and the back. So
yes, the front and the back. The front is the lighter variation, and the back is the darker one. And it wasn't my intention to make a two-sided piece, but when I begin to work with it, this is 3 layers of fabrics. And then when I begin to embroider the drawing, and accidentally just flipped and saw the back, and when I realized the back even more beautiful than the first one, then I made flip-flop all the time, and I thought I really need to complete this as a two-sided piece, because it says so different things at the back than the front. And I was there, and and I finished it probably 10 months or 11 months. I didn't want to spend the whole year with it, but the piece told me it's better to do that because it's worth.
yeah, so
these accidents are there, you know. You are not always a designer, not just a designer. You are a designer at the beginning, and just like a good engineer or designer, but then if you are an artist, you go with the flow, and you really build in the good accidents.
Yeah, so I was mistaken because I thought it was a front and a back, but it's two-sided. You worked on it from both sides.
It's two-sided.
Yeah, wow, that's great. But there's but here again, you know, the danger is symbolized by those hybrid monsters that I think were those created or inspired by your son's work. The ones that are in this
it's one? Always, as I told previously, this family is working as an artist group, and we are crisscrossing each other's imaginations, and without any hesitations. So go back and forth and influence each other greatly, and we are happy with that, all 4 of us.
So do they borrow? Do they borrow from you?
They just borrowed back.
Yeah, they do.
I am the big stealer. But they just borrow back something. David did something from me. But Balint used to inspire by my activities. And he does watercolors lately as an adult artist. But I really like the complexity of the life and the really difficult relationship between the humans, and the gardening importance and what. So the thematically, he is with us, not formally, you know, not the formal drawings. He has his own figures, what he animates, but the
Balint.
themes are comes from the same root what we are.
Yeah, Anna's talking about Ballant, her son,
Yeah.
who's a great artist too. What was I going to do? Yes, and you've often talked about storytelling and the importance of storytelling in your work. But do your works start off, do you plan them to be this complex? Like there's so much activity and complexity and denseness to your imagery. Do you plan them from the beginning to be like that, or do they organically become?
Yes or no, because I have inspirations. If I travel, I see wonderful pieces, like when I was in Paris at the Middle Age Museum and saw the unicorn tapestries, you know, you just see, and I thought, oh my goodness, how can I enjoy this kind of feeling a little bit more, at least at home, or how can I produce something like this, you know? And of course, I am not at the Middle Age. I am here in New Brunswick, and what can I do to reach that feeling, that sense, you know? Because it's so lush and so.
So you tend to
I
cram
have a
everything.
desire to reach something, you know, and I have figures, I have colors, and I have stitches, and this bowl contains everything what I have, and I need to put together something with this. So, and that's how they were born.
So rather than separating your ideas and your influences, you just cram them all together.
Yeah, I live with them, and you know, I have heartbeat goes faster when I say something what I really like, you know, and I, even if it can be a flower, it can be a honeybee or whatever, you know, a chipmunk here in the garden, or even the fire monsters what they draw me, or I imagined some other things. And Istvan is a big storyteller on his own right, and he has very central thoughts about the humankind, what is important, what is not, and he is politically really active. And so I am in the bunch of people who are a very, very interesting personalities, and we borrow from each other, and we inspire each other.
Oh, by the way, I've got a couple of Istvan's works here.
Really? How? Oh yeah, we exhibited in Yumi, right? Yes, the
so you can
Sandman.
see
Oh my
the
goodness.
influences.
Yeah.
The Starman, I think. And these little two little.
I know. Yeah, little bronzes. Yeah, the pair.
Yeah, these are Istvan's, and those two little ones I got when you had that studio sale before you left for New Brunswick. So
really?
Yeah, I remember going there to your house on Mountain Avenue and picking these up. They were great.
How nice.
Okay, we better keep moving. Yeah, we should talk about this. Permanent Danger 5 and Permanent Danger 4, because they're so different from the rest of from the other pieces. So they're all cutouts and silhouettes, right?
Yeah.
And I think you talked about them as being simpler to create and produce because you're cutting them out and I guess, are they all stitched, or are they?
Everything is staged and hand staged. Yes, these are from fabric, the black and off dust rose or off white fabrics. And it's interesting to know that the Permanent Danger, the number 1, what we talked before, was the first. And these are followed the very detailed embroidered piece, because I really wanted to see the skeleton under the refined, because when I finish something, I don't know it's good or bad or what is it. You know, I need a little bit time distance to decide. Okay, it's good, or I am good with it or not. And these drawings and cutouts needed to go out from my system and see how strong are they without those really nicely embellished surfaces and those impressionistic details which are really enchanting. And but what is it if I just give the story skeleton, you know, the figures and the vulnerability and lots of fire and serpents and huge flowers, extinct animals, stars. What is it?
So how do you feel about them compared to
It's
your
needed to finish these pieces.
you needed to do it?
And these belong to a family which are
Oh,
different, you know, all different, but it's a same
yeah, yeah. The images.
storytelling, monster-like, figurative family. You know, you can realize what are they, because it has roses and forms. What you can recognize.
Yeah, and you said that you were influenced by Kara Walker and
Yeah,
Bill Traylor, who are
yeah.
Black American artists who work similarly in terms of silhouettes and
Yes, yes, and that relationship between the high art and the untaught by outsider art is really excites me. You know how you can make a parallel or difference between them, because surely the outsider art is always influencing the mainstream. And how is that, like Dubuffet is the very good example. What he did, he is a very large name in the art field, a modern art maker, but what he did with the outsider group in France, it's just amazing.
well, those it just reminded me, like those naked women in your in Permanent Danger and some of your other ones, they look like they were done by adolescent boys or adolescent minded, like they're like fantasized depictions of naked women.
It's far away from the right proportions.
Yes.
And you know, those are not meant to be you know, a school drawing from university, because we all know how you
So did you draw them?
Yes, I did.
You
I did, because but it's intentionally goes together with the kids' imagination, not. Or if you are a little girl and you play with the cutout doll forms, I don't know. Do you know those? You are a boy, but
we played with soldiers. Like
yes, it's a paper, one layer of paper, and you can change their clothes, and you can go for a walk with them if you change the clothes, and so those are pretending games, and it's needed to draw a nice little mannequin or the model, and the game was born.
Okay, so can we go to, I don't know, let's see. What's 10? Dionysian.
Oh. So that's the next room at the Textile Museum, because we agreed to Sarah Clinton, my dear friend Sarah, it's better in this way, to borrow for this exhibition the party with Dionysus piece what on outside the museum in Canada bought years ago from Robert Poulin, who is a gallerist in Montreal, and he sold this piece for a museum. And we asked back to this exhibition, and it was so lonely because I never was enough time or opportunity to make some other related pieces. And I made this this Dionysia piece for the Textile Museum occasion, to be accompanied with the borrowed piece. And but between them probably more than 10 years age difference, I don't know, but it's quite I made it late. And the first one is, the material is linen and cotton, and this one is silk, pure silk, the whole thing. And, what else? What can I say more? The details.
Well, yeah, they're very linear. And what's next? Can we go to, whoa, what's that one? Oh, Party with Dionysus.
That was the first piece that we borrowed for the Textile Museum show for the Permanent Danger. And I was really happy to say after years I parted with. So,
but in this one, the beasts appear tamer, like they're more, they're not, their mouths are closed and they're not bearing their teeth.
The life was, life was easier at that time.
Oh,
at the latest one, the world became more dangerous and more, or maybe I became older, and I saw a lot more sad things than here. So this piece is a little bit more happy than the next one.
yeah, because a lot of, I mean, there are themes of, well, Eden and paradise and Adam and Eve, and it, they bring to mind like Bosch's Garden of Earthly Delights and Masaccio's expulsion of Adam and Eve from the garden, and all that kind of stuff. And it makes us, I think you really zero in on human vulnerability, and how we're all subject to being judged and being sinful and lustful as well as joyful. So it seems like you just put all this stuff together and stir it around for us.
And the genesis is there, to create something just like, and the relationship with each other, the parts always in connection. The connectivity is really important to me, because it's really, we are all connected, and we really need to be good with each other, because it's the world is depend on that. But you see less and less those actions which would be really necessary to survive or better life here. So I'd like to suggest we should treasure things a lot more and a lot better than we do. So I don't know it's successful or not, but my my attempt to say that is there for sure.
Do you have, do you use accident in, you know, like it's hard to think of, because it's such a, detailed process, stitching and embroidering, and it's such a meticulous process that it's hard to imagine that you utilize the accidental in your work, but it seems like you do have a regard for that, for the accident happening.
Yeah, and to keep things fresh, you know, the
Yeah.
surface should be fresh, and the accident is great many time is welcome, because the accident tells you it's okay. You can go with it, because not everything is well designed and
So
executed.
so how does an accident happen when you're involved in, like I said, such a meticulous?
I just told you when I ended up with the two-sided carpet. I didn't. That wasn't my intention, but you know. But I just flipped and I saw, oh, how can I preserve both? Because if the finish will come, I won't be able to decide which is my favorite part. And then I decided I will give extra labor and finish both as a ready piece. And you cannot choose which is better, because both is different in its own way.
You know, the story that you've told before, I guess, that I really like is how you're, well, I don't know if I like it, but I mean the account of your mother-in-law having a stroke, and
yeah,
which caused like gaps in her memory, so that when she did her traditional Hungarian embroidery, those gaps appeared in her work. Like there were mistakes.
yeah,
And
yeah. Yeah, that was one of my very favorite projects, really. And I didn't know it will be a project at all. I just wanted to be nice with her and figure out how can I entertain her, you know, in her own way, and how can I produce some kind of task to finish when I will come, because she always wanted to meet with us and always encouraged us to come and see me. But I couldn't fly that many times. But we had a telephone conversation and letters and everything, and it's kept her alive, you know, because she thought I care, and if I had a good word for his improvement, very baby step improvement on the embroidery, what she was doing, then she was so happy, and she's waited for us, and the whole family was so proud of her. And these are the, yes.
Well, but the thing is that you really appreciated them as visual objects because of those mistakes. Because I remember you said something about how those irregularities made them unique and human. And yeah, I really like that. I think it says a lot about the way, well, how sensitive you are.
You know, it was just like mapping the brain. It was because the cross stitch is a blueprint of something, a flower or something. But it's one part of missing. You can read as a brain map, because I knew she was able to produce the whole map in perfect variation. But if she was able to complete just a quarter of it, and she realized she's not able to do, but she begin again and again and again. So the try and the whole result was visually so right.
Yeah, you
and
know what?
engaging and yes.
It reminded me of a quote from she was a Japanese fashion designer, Rei Kawakubo. I think she had the firm Comme les Garçons or something in the, I don't know, 80s or 90s or whatever. But Rei Kawakubo said, I like it when something is off. She was a fashion designer, not when something is off, not perfect. And she said, hand weaving is the best way to achieve this with her textiles and fabrics. But since this isn't always possible, we loosen a screw on the machines here and there, so they can't do exactly what they're supposed to do. So they start, the machines start to make these little irregularities and accidents, but she was doing that deliberately. And it's that's what it reminded me of. And you know,
yeah, you know, art is fantastic because you can go from that very point for so many ways. It's just amazing, because it's remind me your shadow project, which I like it very much, because it's need to be commemorated, that terrifying event what's happened in Hiroshima. And I just cannot imagine any bronze sculpture or anything else. You know, you need to work with this memory, but as you found this way to this intervention, it's such a good point. And it's need organization, it's need a heart, it's need a, you know, a culture to born, or some artistry to imagine it will happen and it will be better for a city, for people. It's, my heart is really goes out for that project.
Yeah, Anna's talking about the Shadow Project, which is a commemoration of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki that we do every year. And we people come out and do chalk outlines of their bodies as they're lying down. And that's a practice that happens every August 5th in the evening, because the bomb on Hiroshima was dropped on August the 6th. So anyway, we better move along here.
but you promised me conversation.
I told you it's going to be like this. Okay, can we go to, I don't know, how about the gardens?
Yeah, oh,
Gardens 1 and 2.
Thank you very much. That's my favorite. Yeah, the garden is, I am a big gardener. Everybody knows that, you know.
I didn't know that. So.
You didn't know that. Are you a gardener, Bryce?
No, but my partner Lisa is, and she was really when I found that article about you talking, I think it was in, I don't know, Art Magazine or something. She was really interested in it. So you have acres, your property is pretty large, and you've got 3 sectioned gardens or something.
Yeah, it's really big fun and happiness for me to live in a green lawn of New Brunswick, and occasionally go for a bathing hole here nearby. And if the tide is on, then the whole village is there, and we exchange recipes for how can you preserve beans and peas and and that's our social and cultural exchange, which is great.
So when did you do these, Anna? When did you do these? Oh, 2018.
Which one? Yeah, oh,
the gardens. the garden.
But this is an ongoing project because I always have drawings about flowers. I draw flowers very often, even weeds and house plants, whatever it's in hand. And I have tons of drawings, and if I want to do something and let's say the background needs some flowery details, then I always find something what I can use from my own diary of plants and flowers and vegetation, and not much animal though, but lots of greens and stuff.
So do you?
So this is permanent. Always do the flower drawings, and sometimes I embroider them. Sometimes I make collage them. So I use it as a project.
Do you consider them?
know.
Do you consider them decorative, as opposed to your,
Maybe.
you know?
Yeah, maybe. I never thought for that. Thanks for remind me, because I'm working against the decorativity all the time. My biggest fear, they will say I am a decorative artist or something, but this, I don't know. I hope to believe this is multi-layered enough not to be so nice and pretty and decorative. But the monsters and the fires and the dangers are fit so much better for this contemporary world than the flowers, I know. And fit for men better than women, you know, more gardeners and enthusiastic flower lovers.
So,
but it's live with me. So,
how much time do we have? How are we doing here, Shauna? Or
hi, I'm here. Why don't you go for another 10 minutes or so, and then we can wrap up.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I know that you've been asked this before about what's, you know, where do you see your artwork going? But I'm just, you know, from what you've said about some of these pieces, I'm just wondering, and the last one, the gardens, I'm just wondering if you have any kind of attraction to abstraction, like doing.
I tend to be, yes. I
mean, non-objective.
Yeah, I think my works are. I have a group exhibition now in Montreal. I can't pronounce the name of the show because it's the Adelarus Joncas Gallery, and they're working with abstractions. And one of my work is there, and the card drawings, what I did, absolutely starting point with my kids' card drawings. So it went absolutely for abstraction, and they use it as a piece for the abstract exhibitions. But I am more figurative than abstract for sure. I excites me better if some figures there. Because you know why? Because the storytelling element of my activities are really strong, and that's why it goes with the figures better than the. And many quotations from cultures, even if I use the writing, then it's important. Writings and
I know that this is just another thing, another area, but somewhere I read that you said, or you said on a video, that you're not Hungarian, and then you ask, am I Canadian, which is kind of the dilemma of, you know, many immigrants who contend with life and experience in two countries. So you asked, where is my true self and what is it that I want to have? It seems like you have a lot, you know, but what you're expressing is sort of a melancholia, and it's deeply embedded in your thinking about the human condition and its relationship to nature and the precarious state of the planet. And it's kind of unfair to kind of unload all this stuff on you, but because I don't know if I'd like it if somebody did on me. But where do you think you are right now in terms of your satisfaction, and is permanent danger a good description of how you feel? Is it anxiety and
happiness? Yeah.
and pessimism?
Thanks for asking me, because probably it would be the most interesting conversation topic if we should continue this talk forever, because I would be really interested about your opinion of your identity, but you but you was born here. You are in an easier shoes. I am not that easy, and recently I just can't tell every form of nationalism or I even don't have words for that. I really bothers me, and people I just cannot focus to the important things what we need to solve, you know. Instead they generate an artificial barriers and artificial I don't know what is it. So these are not a healthy way to solve many of those problems what is really urgent to solve. And I am in this moment not very happy Hungarian. I am a lot happier Canadian, for sure.
Because of the politics in
Yes,
Hungary?
because of the politics in Hungary.
Yeah.
And even, you know, those countries which are big history and big past, they are very loaded, and it's need to solve and clean up the thoughts and thinkings of the society's head. And in Canada, it seems life easier because of that. So it's a young country and has problems, of course, a lot of problems, but not loaded that much than Europe. I don't know how is Japan, but it's not easy there also, I believe.
But the traditional aspects of Hungarian culture, especially as it's embodied in embroidery, the textile work, is still really important to you. I mean,
the whole Hungarian culture, let's see, I follow the literature and poems and music and all aspects of cultural life in Hungary, which is really important and rich. But
yeah, and you draw on them for your work too.
Yeah, so I have no attempt to distance myself from that part of my Hungarian identity, but certain politics and everyday solutions are just working against my soul. Completely, you know.
Yeah, I just thought of Shelley Nero, you know, the Mohawk artist who because she uses beadwork design, native beadwork designs, and puts that into some of her paintings and around some of her framing, you know, and so, but they're very contemporary works, photographs, and anyway, that's just thought of that.
Yes, yeah. Probably I can understand very much those fellow artists whose identity came up recently in this country, because I have experience in Hungary with playing with minority groups and push down things what it shouldn't be, and so the history is a cruel game, and they always seems to play with us, and it's not fair. And but we do what we can, right? And
Yes.
we do things with our own tools, and we try to be happy and try to be helpful, or what we can do.
And we're only artists.
Yes, no more than artists.
That's
But
right.
it's sometimes it's more than anything else. Don't forget that.
Okay. Is there another slide we can go to, or another image? What's that?
That's enough. That's my back.
Oh. Oh yeah. So do you use those embroidery hoops to do all those big paintings?
Yes,
Big works?
that's my favorite hoop. This is the available biggest, and I can see that surface and that large surface in the same time.
So then you move around?
Yes, I move around. When I finished one loop or whole circle, then the another circle is coming, and at the end I will be surprised. It is so bad or so good, or the another side is better than the first one. So many things coming to play when I investigate what I did for a year.
So you must know all those different stitches, right? I mean, I would assume that you would know, because when I did my little research online, there was a thing: outline stitch, running stitch, French knot, stem stitch, pattern stitch.
You did your homework. You did your homework, Bryce.
Yeah, well, yeah, but do you know how to do all those?
I learned how to do that, but I stick with one, and
Yeah, you
that's
ditched them all.
probably they will name Anna Torma stitch at the end. Because I stubbornly just stick with one kind.
Okay, so what's happening now?
We're back. I wanted to just let you know that Shelley Nero is actually on tonight. So she was listening. She is listening. So
what should we say about her? I don't.
welcome, Shelley.
She's wonderful.
We have a couple of questions. So from Brian, the black and white works are such a departure from your complex and animated works. Is this something that you will revisit?
Yes, I do, and it's paving the way into a new route, which will be black and white work. And I really, my ambition to put up at the exhibition with black and white forms, nothing else, just black and white embroideries. And I have a couple of pieces, and I am working on a body of work to complete that one.
So will they all be shapes, like silhouettes and
shapes? Yeah,
like
shapes.
Not...
Interesting shapes. We contacting each other, so in conversation with each other, and in a very well balanced surface, black and white.
Somewhat. So Tracy has a question about, you had mentioned that florals might not be seen as contemporary within a male view. Can you explain that?
I have three male around me, and I am the only woman. And I talking from my experience, you know, the man world naturally faster, harder, and not that soft what the women work. That's the given thing. They are fantastic. They are gentle souls, but their pacing is different than mine. And I have love for the flowers, and they have love for harder toys, plays somehow. That's my nothing else. Just the observation of my. It's nothing else.
And Philip has a question of any plans for Maritime Show? Well, it's actually opening at the Owens Art Gallery at Mount Allison after it closes in Guelph. So you can dart across the border past Bayvert to get to Sackville. So that looks like all the questions. I'd like to thank everyone. Sarah, did you want to say anything before I wrap up?
Well, yes, I do. Yes, no, of course I do. Bryce, in particular, I agree with Anna, and I really respect and thank you for that homework you did, from stem stitch to recent interviews. Digging deep into your memory banks for your time together in Hamilton. What did you say, Anna? 33
years when we set foot to Hamilton.
Well, you were both babies then.
Yes,
and,
very active and young artist, right, Bryce?
Yeah, yeah, still growing up, and still lots more to come. So again, deep investment in this evening, very generous. I wanted to make sure that we said that, and your inclusion of the mention of other artists, of course, is always close to all of our hearts. And together you pulled various art worlds and different times into 1 hour and a half, I think, just on target. So again, thank you so much, with gratitude.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
making me these 2 fabulous shows, and I cannot see that, you know, it's just heartbreaking.
That's right. Anna hasn't yet seen the Art Gallery of Guelph exhibition and never did see the show at the Textile Museum of Canada.
Oh, I saw it.
Good.
Oh my goodness, I am green with envy.
Lisa has a question. Just not sure how to. Lisa, are you able to put that in the chat actually? Yeah, Kirsty Bell says we'll have to have an extra celebration at the Owens in that case. Of course, yes. We're hoping to have a closing actually in September at the Art Gallery of Guelph. So we also have, and on the first floor, the other exhibition that is beside this is by a young artist named Emmanuel Osahor, who was born in Nigeria, which is also about gardens. So it's actually a wonderful pairing. And we hope that Lisa Dale says she also saw the show at the Textile Museum. Wonderful. So congratulations, Anna. And thank you all. Bryce, that was an amazing dialogue. And again, as Sarah said, thank you for your research and for your really sort of thoughtful and generous conversation. And thank you, Sarah, for curating and sharing this with us.
An honor, an honor.
And we look forward to seeing you all in one place in ideally September. So take care, everyone. I hope you all have a wonderful evening and rest of the week. And I think this is really a testament to what the creative practice can do, so what art making can do. So it's really amazing material to walk away with and to keep in our minds for a while. Take care, everyone, and thank you all for joining us. And thank you, participants. Thank you all for joining us. All right, take care.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you.
night.